Hi, this is Cindy at an open door, May 14th, 2026, finding truth everywhere. We're going to be discussing how this interview with the channel of an aspect of Saint Germain uh, found you and how it informed you, and I have some things to say. But first, we're going to listen to a song that Melanie has brought to us. And let's do that first because I'm excited to listen. I actively decided to wait and hear it for the first time with all of us. So here we go.
Look for God and life on distant planets. Have your faith in the ever after, while each of us holds inside the map to the labyrinth. And heaven's here on earth. Spirits peace and love and understanding. This could be heaven here on earth.
Thank you, Melanie. This could be heaven here on earth. This is heaven and earth. I've actually been sitting with that since a conversation earlier this week. I remember Patricia, I don't remember what Patricia said, but I do remember asking her to define what she meant by heaven and what she meant by earth. And so that conversation came up in one of our meetings this week. And yeah, thank you. I do love Tracy Chapman's voice. I just like the way it's like silk, deep or or a deep, deep chocolate, a smooth chocolate. All right, so here's the other thing I'm going to say, and then I'll give you my notes. It was so interesting. It's such an interesting experience. And when I've really sunk into this understanding that every moment is a gift and an opportunity. And so this week, beginning last week into this week, I spent some time with this podcast and felt not really, there's no judgment here. It just, I was out of sync with it. And there was this thought, well, I'm not facilitating. And so I could just listen and see what happens. And not only that, for probably the first time in a couple of years since we've done all these things, I went ahead and skipped Melanie, because I'm not going to be here next week. And Melanie said to me, I really hope you listen to Salvador Poe. And so not only did I like not really like listen with the intent to share, um, I skipped and went to Salvador Poe, and I got a lot of things to say about that. um, I um, I just so when I found out just yesterday that Lonnie wasn't going to be here, I am grateful to say to you, I didn't say, oh shit, now what am I going to do? There was a second of, well, I'll call Amy. I heard that and I said no. I said, I said, not because she would say yes, you know. Um, it was, oh, I wonder why this happened. Let me listen again, knowing that this is for me, right? There's something in the sharing that my higher self, and it's one of the things he said, there's something here that I am to stop avoiding or resisting. Let me listen differently now. There's a gift here and I'm given another chance. So and it was really quick. I didn't have to move through resistance, which is really extraordinary for me anyway. So that's the first thing I wanted to share. The the Nadego only had to say it to me like 10,000 times for me to remember that everything's a gift, right? So and we all talk about repeating things over and over and over again because we have to I have to marinate. I'm not going to speak to anyone else. There is a really powerful sense of separate self that thinks it knows what's going on and what it needs. And sometimes you really have to marinate. So yesterday for me anyway was one another evidence that things are shifting because I really did naturally fairly quickly go, ah, I wonder what this is going to what's going to happen. I wonder what's for me. Um, all right, so here are my notes. I'm leaving. And none of it has anything to do about predictions or AI or whether or not the future human is going to be made in a test tube. So I'll leave that to whoever else wants to talk about those things. So here are my notes. The first thing I heard in this meeting, which is something that the guides are saying, it's something that the Course in Miracles says all the time, to me anyway, is we serve by being the light. Sandra says that as well. The way it was said in this podcast was stand on the other side of a short wall do not get involved, like the whole time of defense and attack and standing for your cause. Now's not it. We serve best by being the light. The guides say, in your presence and being as you walk around, your energetic accord is what's making the difference. And I get that. And I sink into that really deeply. The light of the world brings peace to every mind through our forgiveness. We serve by being the light. So I I like that that was pointed out. It was a key part. Like he said a lot of things, and then, oh, so what should you do about it? Take really good care of yourself and be the light and don't get involved right now in worldly things. Not with the, don't try to fix the world. I heard that really, really powerfully. And I get it. At least it's my path. My path is to continually purify inside. How clear and pure of a light can I be? The second thing, as we rise in consciousness, the past is undone, redone. I mean, he literally just said your past lives are rewritten. How extraordinary, right? Your past, as I choose, guide, I work really well in the guide's language. So as I choose to stop feeding the assumptions about why I'm limited and why I'm small and why the world sucks and all the problems. And instead, I focus on hanging out in the upper room where there is no separation and there is no fear. All of the things that were created with fear and separation are being undone, not just now, but in the past and the future and on the other side of the world. I have a real strong belief in that. Like my focus, Cindy's focus is on purifying Cindy, on braiding my will with the divine will and not investing too much time on what that looks like. But how can I be the light in this moment? And the clear pointing that when the more I do that, the more the past gets rewritten. It's not just that it is forgiven in a way a human being says it's forgiven, it's undone. Because in the holy instant, this moment is the only one that exists, right? So, this whole idea of the past and the future is kind of arbitrary. So, in the moment, in a holy instant, everything is forgiven. And he pointed to that. And in my notes, I went to the prayer from the end of chapter 5 in A Course in Miracles. It's a prayer that I first heard in my first weeks of living in purpose. Linda Leland spoke it, and it blew me away. And over the years since then, I kept losing it. I knew that and I'm going to just read it because I literally had to remember where it was in the course because I kept forgetting the words. I must have decided wrongly because I am not at peace. I made the decision myself, but I can also decide otherwise. Chuck and I have a history with these words, right? I want to decide otherwise because I want to be at peace. I do not feel guilty. This is the line that used to flip me out. I do not feel guilty because the Holy Spirit will undo all the consequences of my wrong decision if I will let him. I choose to let him by allowing him to decide for God for me. And I'm not going to go in the order of my notes. I'm almost done now because um, this podcast stated it and the guides say it all the time. I am the Holy Spirit when I know who I am. What they said in this podcast was, you know, when you surrender your will to God or whatever, I don't remember what he's to this higher will, you know, it may be your future self, right? And I like that, Joel Goldsmith, and I'm doing the homily this weekend. on this teaching from Joel Goldsmith, he literally just says there is only one will. There's only one power. There's only one will. And this suffering comes from believing that there's two. And it used to mean to me that it meant that I had to give something up. Like, oh my God, I don't matter, only God matters. Now I've gotten to this place of understanding that I can never not be who created me. So this is an extension of what created me. So choosing only that there's only this one will is stating that I don't want to suffer. Like I don't need to pretend I'm small or limited or separated from God anymore. And that's all it means. I don't become less me. I'm not sacrificing me. I'm celebrating me and who I truly am. I love Sandra's smile. So anyway, he said that this higher self that you're surrendering to when you stop efforting, you could think of it as your future self. The guides often say when they're asked who they are, oh, the chills. There's so many chills in my body right now. We are who you are when you know who you are. Um, my next note. He was a little harsh with this. Get over yourself. It was interesting. Now, Salvador Poe, who you haven't really listened to yet, unless you have, was having this conversation. A big part of this conversation was the importance of shadow work and what spiritual bypassing is, and the decades in counseling, and needing to unearth every last thing that was wrong, and you do that until you don't anymore, and at some point you realize you don't, that none of that matters. But he just said, get over, he said it in a couple of different ways. And for me, I appreciated it for where I am on my path. But this need to continually fix your independent, separate self. He literally said, for those working with me, you got to stop because number one, that person doesn't even exist. They said it, you are this higher self, you are this extension of God. So all the focus on fixing your individual world is really just an egoic preservation strategy. The guides say it in a different way. They're kind. They leave Paul to do all the, my marriage is falling apart questions, but the guides in gentler ways say we're not here to fix your individual lives. We want you to be happy. The guides say things like that. Our desire is for your happiness and your joy and knowing who you are. That being said, we're not interested in fixing your individual lives. And again, it's starting to really hit me what that means in a deeper way. So, and the other thing about this really just is when the choice is the guides also often say you can't take your problems to the upper room. You'll still stub your toe in the upper room. Your husband or spouse may still leave you. Your children may, make every mistake under the sun while you're hanging out in the upper room. But they all become opportunities, not reasons to fear and contract. Uh, So that's what I got for now. I'm looking forward to whoever's going to say what, and I've got to answer a phone. So someone please talk.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here, not because I have anything to say, but because I watched this, but I watched it a week ago, and so I don't really remember it that much. I really like Next Level Soul a lot, but I have to admit that right now I'm really immersed in doing the Ramana um, teachings, and so it's too much of a shift for me, or it's not too much, but it's a challenge for me to get out of being in the present moment. I am awareness. and start listening to somebody who's channeling someone that thinks they're Saint Germain. And I do find myself really getting comfort from hearing that there's a good future out there and that that we're progressing to something beautiful and that it's all going to be okay. But then when I ask myself, well, who wants to think there's a future and that there's anything other than this present moment, I have to answer that it's the one that believes in the world and believes in time and space and believes she's a body. So I just will throw that out there. I do not want to poo-poo this in any way. I really appreciate these teachings. I just am having a challenge keeping my foot in both camps. So I just want to put that out there. And I wanted to take up space till Cindy got back.
I'm back.
Okay.
My car's getting new tires. It wasn't supposed to be, and it was the tire place, and so I felt to answer the phone in case there was an issue with the car. And I appreciate what you said, Amy. One of the reasons that I struggled with this podcast is I have no desire. I can't, I, in this moment, do not connect with future predictions at all. And when there's a lot of them, something inside of me just sort of shuts down. So there was a bit of that that I don't know. It was kind of cool. At the same time, I just read Paul Selleck's most recent email, and he and Alex did this supposedly this they were together, Paul Selleck and Alex, and they did this whole three-part teaching that Alex is producing. So I'm kind of excited about that.
And I just want to say one more thing. It just comes to me that, if looking at the future and having being told that the future is bright and that it's happy and that we get there and we grow out of our human infantile 2-year-old preschool sort of view of things, that's okay because it fills me with a sense of happiness. And so happiness is an attribute of the true self. And so if it makes me happy, just allow that and be grateful for that, be pleased with that. So I'm pleased with myself that I can be happy because it shows me that I love all of us and that I want us to do well and that I recognize that we're all in this together and yeah, I just love it. So just want to say that.
Thank you. Hi, Melanie.
Hi, hi everyone. And yeah, I guess when I went out, I know I'm doing the inner Ramana as well, and I could picked up there was a couple times when he said, and this is in Indigo too, wherever Indigo, he said, pause and then notice I am that I am. And it was like, whoa, that was just right out of the mantra. And he said, pause. And it was just, I just picked up on that. So I really saw that coming through in that way. And also, you mentioned Tracy Chapman's voice. Well, his voice too, he had that deep voice. I just appreciate, appreciate his voice. And he talked about love, the masculine and feminine, the merging of the masculine and feminine. That was kind of a new, interesting, neat point that of course, we are everyone and everything. So every coming together is one, but seeing that is um, the love and the idea that love was invented here. I mean, it was 5,000 years ago. That's what we bring. We bring love to conscious. We are love. So recognizing that and um, yeah, what else I was going to say? Oh, he mentioned something. I don't know how he got this in. Like 97% of people are really good. And I loved his eucatastrophe from eucatastrophe. That was a good one. From Tolkien, Lord of the Rings. So just bringing some of those, different little nuggets along the way. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And um, uh, and that, the collective idea too, that, he says, consciousness is getting momentum. And I think we feel that. Feel the momentum of light is shining forth. And even in AI, he says us being present makes a difference, such a big difference in how everything is, how now is, and the more light, and and it was a relief to know that just we don't have to do any great thing in the world or anything, but just being here now is what a wonderful purpose, just to be who we are. It takes all the pressure and everything. That's just so reassuring. And it doesn't matter what age you are or anything. We are here now, and we're here for a purpose. We're here. We are all here for a purpose. He made a big point about that. There's a specific reason that we're here. We are all here right now, and because we all of the whole, the one whole unfolding seamlessly right now. So I kind of sensed all that. So
There is a function God would have me fill. The other thing that was coming up as I was listening to you, that the guides are talking about too, and I don't know about any of you, but I'm feeling it, especially at 3 o'clock in the morning, that this higher vibrational consciousness that we're all kind of marinating in is changing our biology. I mean, his interpretation of that, I don't know. What I know is that I feel that and it makes sense. Like if we are all God and we're just sort of marinating in this high vibrational stuff, the density that's in the physical form is becoming something other. Um, my brain can't grasp what that means, and he's talking about, artificial and test tube and machines and stuff. I didn't was so not where I wanted to even look at, but I do know that I'm having these experiences of waking up, or it was happening this morning where I'm sitting in the space and I can feel pain and shifting and moving things happening in the body that seem perhaps comforted. I don't know. The guides point to the fact that our biology is being changed. And he said that too, the biology is being changed to support the higher level consciousness, or it's all part of the same thing. So,
mm,
yeah. I don't know about this 97%. For me, the divine exists in all sentient beings, and it's covered up more in some than the others. And I guess I really am a student of the guides because I've been given the appointment to consciously intend to connect with the divine in everyone, regardless of what the person thinks, and know that the possibility exists that when I choose to see the divine in another, i.e., bless the other, the opportunity for the flame to catch and grow and to have this other also acknowledge the divine in themselves exists. And so the idea that the way he said it, it's one of those things that left me uncomfortable. It left me feeling like, is he saying that there's 3% humans that exist on the planet that are somehow separate from God, and that I don't have room for that here right now. Does that make sense?
yeah, but his self-love was important, I think,
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
which means includes everyone then. So it would be the 3% as well.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Melanie. Hi, Niteko.
Hi everyone. So great to be here. Just to me, anyway, it's always such amazing blessing, all of it, and it just, I'm really just speechless. It's I'm speechless. I'm so just taken. I just really, you don't even have words to say. Um, it's like I'll write down. I'll say what I said. Oh yeah, and that's okay too. That's what's been so amazing. It's like I can tell you, my brain injury was just the best thing that ever happened to me because that's when I started to see who I really was, and now I'm hearing God. And I don't even have words to say. It's just, it takes my breath away. And it's all that I want. I just want to be there 24/7. It's just, I'm just, I'm just so, just always just blown away. And it doesn't even matter. Like my age, she's doing things that I don't agree with. And it was so amazing. I was guided, let it be, let it be, bring it in, love it, love her. And so I did that. And it's okay that everything is perfect exactly as it is. And at least for me, when I just bring it in and love it, I see God, or I see this love that we all are. And yes, so I just love being here with all of you. I'm just so grateful for just everything. So thank you.
Thank you. Suzanne, how nice to have you here.
Hi, everybody. Nego, that was so beautiful. You, I heard you expressing embodiment, and living the teachings and living the joy and the understanding. So that was such a beautiful way to express it. Um, I guess what I wanted to say is I've been dipping in and out of all these channels for many years. And for myself, I always know that what I'm attracted to has something for me. And when I first started listening to this interview, I thought, oh, what does this have for me? Um, but I did find some really wonderful awarenesses, I guess. And one of them was I'm so grateful for Alex Ferrari for bringing all these people in because I know my background is I did a lot of studying, a lot of deep studying in the Yoga Sutras and the Bhagavad Gita, and really threw myself into it. And that's a really deep study, and that's a really intense study. But I'm amazed at some of these people that Alex interviews are able to express some of those truths in a way that you don't have to dig through so much tradition to get to it. So I think I said a while ago in one of these meetings that all these awarenesses, and I don't know what else to call them, are like those pebbles that we have set for ourselves to rediscover who we are. That's kind of the myth that I'm living through. And all of these channels are saying the same thing. Basically, your intention, your attention, and the perennial philosophies are saying the same thing. Shape your reality, but we hear it differently from different people. So I'm really grateful that there are so many ways that people are understanding that we we have this spark of divinity in every single one of us. It's expressed differently, but I think the message is pretty much the same thing. And to address what Cindy said um, about her knowing that, or this is what I perceived, you knowing that as you are in the upper room, somehow all of those parallel realities, all of those aspects of ourselves are actually in the upper room with us. So it's not that just this person, Suzanne in this time and space is learning something and expanding. It's like all my expressions, you know, through time, through space, through infinity, are also growing. And I can feel that um, more and more in my life. Um, and I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to express that and to be in a group, where you don't have to explain the whole thing to them first. So yeah, so that's my piece. Thank you.
I'm going to say two things before I hand it over to Livy. The first, I don't know if it was in last week's Finding Truth or somewhere. All these meetings are the same for me now. They're all just opportunities, and but we have recently been talking about just understanding that when we say yes to this work, it's on a lot of different levels. And so there's a lot of things going on that we are not as Cindy's not Cindy as an individual separate self can't even doesn't know but knows. Like the translation gets lost as it flows in here. So I heard you say that. And Salvador Poe, which I didn't know before Melanie, brought him to us, and you guys are. So the linear time is also a bit of a farce, right? So it's like I've always known this man, even though I didn't hear his voice until 2 days ago, and I've already signed up for an intensive with him, which is the last time Cindy behaved the way she behaved with Salvador Poe. And it was even and it there was more fear and more trepidation then than this time. I just found myself doing it was when I signed up for Living in Purpose, when I took 40-day program and all of a sudden signed up for Living in Purpose without like that's the last time I as an individual made a decision, and my entire life exploded after that, right? I wouldn't be here with all of you. um, but Salvador, one of the things Salvador Ho said, he's now in this place where he no longer has a path. He's not awakening. He doesn't need to, he's on the other side of that. But he also shared his story, which is intent, like years and years and years with sitting at the feet of gurus who didn't speak English, right? And he said, there's no need for a path. It's all on the website, by the way, John. If you go to anopendoor.org and you go to the link that says Finding Truth Everywhere, there's a list of all the podcasts. That being said, one of us will post it here, but you can find all the podcasts on the website. He said um, that each one of those things had to happen because they happened. Like his crazy awakening, going from being this cocaine drug addict to having no craving, to the bookseller on the street taking him to his first teacher, to whatever. He said each one of those things helped chip away another piece of the iceberg or something. So he said he had a lot of awakening experiences, but the recognition of the truth was an on-off, which was, I don't know, there was something about the way he shared it, not different than what other people have said. that I heard in what you were just saying. Like everything we're doing is coming from something outside of our kind of small self decision to do it. And perhaps on some level, there's no doer. Like this guy Salvador Power no longer believes in a doership, knows that there's no doer, and yet all of those things still happen, and he doesn't regret any of them, and it was all just kind of cool. So yeah, I'm heading to Livy now because I don't even remember why I started talking about that. Hey, Livy.
Hey, Cindy. So, yeah, well, first of all, I have to say he reminded me of someone I saw on television when I was a little girl, like on Wagon Train or Have Gun Will Travel or something like that. He had kind of a Western look to him that made me think about those shows. Um, I too was interested in the past life, redoing the past life stuff that made sense to me with kind of what I'm experiencing now as far as surrendering and letting go of conditioned ways of thinking and really making the space open. And Inner Ramana is definitely helping with that and the questions to ask throughout the day, and really just being more present for guidance. And I always too appreciate just the emphasis on love, and that we're all love, and that's the energy that that we all are, and that learning how to be that love that I am in truth, and making the space open for that. And so it's interesting to be really surrendering every single thing, and that everything is love, every single thing, every thought, every breath, everything. And but yeah, so I appreciated some of the things that he had to say. So just wanted to share that. But the past life thing really resonated with me a lot as I'm letting go of, and I feel that it is helping to, well, no, I do believe that it heals, like, even, I don't know for sure, but it feels like it's healing my mother's story as well as I heal my own. And that's where it just feels sort of complete with the oneness. And so that's a real gift. So thanks for letting me share.
Thank you. Hi, Amy.
Well, for the one that's really basically speaking from ignorance, I'm also watching the Salvador Poe, or listening to that, and so what I'm getting here from listening to everyone, which has been such a pleasure. Uh, so Salvador Poe really talks about, just being in this present moment, and that's really what the Inner Ramana is talking about too. Is just this present moment. And when we all have had this experience of the absolute peace and sort of expansiveness, the irreducibleness of the present moment. And then at the other end of the spectrum, which is also true, is what Saint Germain was saying, where everything is happening everywhere all at once. And I'm listening to an interview right now with a medium that you probably all know. She's a former U.S. naval captain, and Christopher Bache, he did the LSD experiment, and we listened to him, gosh, a year and a half at least ago. And he's the one that did the enormous amounts of LSD over a 20 or 30-year period and saw all of humanity and all of the cosmos. And he saw the birthing of the universe as the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and that it was the masculine that kind of stayed back and said, I'm going to hold all of this. And the divine feminine that went forth and just kept creating and losing itself in, if you want to say her, in its creations, which is what had to happen. And so I'm sort of feeling like both of these are true. In the present moment, you can access everything everywhere all at once. And my little mind just can't handle that. I mean, I can sort of, I can taste it, but I have to be really careful about it because there are people that have gone crazy when they've really been overly exposed. And the guides say this too. We can't overload you or you won't be able to handle the frequency. So I wanted to throw that out there. And because that's kind of partly why I feel like I'm in two camps here. On the one hand, I love the certainty and the peace and the stillness of this moment now, going from this moment now to this moment now to this moment now. And yet I get awe and joy out of feeling like I can heal my grandmother. And she needs that healing. And what a loving thought it is for me. It's such bliss and joy for me to think I can heal her. And wouldn't I give that to her? You know. So it's all there for me. And I really appreciate all of y'all's shares.
Oh, yeah. I've been using that word a lot lately too. In my writing too. I've noted, I'm like, YA hyphen LL. I love you, Livy. Move on.
Yeah, we love you, Livy. Uh,
Hi, Susan. Are you complete, Amy?
Thank you for asking, Cindy. I am complete.
Thank
Until the next time.
Suzanne.
Amy, I love the word irreducibleness. And because we try to dissect and examine and, get to the source and all of that. But I think well, I know what it triggered in me was just accept it for what it is. It doesn't matter. It's only your brain, it's only my brain trying to put a frame around it that makes it um, difficult. But kind of resting in that irreducibleness is um, is a wonderful image. I just really like that image.
Thank you. Sandra.
Hello, everybody. I always love these podcasts. They're all so different. And everyone brings something, some little gold nugget. On this one, I had a similar experience to you, Cindy. I started on Monday. I was in the car. I had to drive an hour and a half, and I thought, well, listen to the podcast. So I was listening, and I just could not connect with it. And at first, I was thinking it was because I was listening and not viewing adds a dimension. But anyway, it wasn't that I didn't like it, I just couldn't connect. So I stopped. And then this morning I watched it again and I got more out of it. Um, yeah, there is something about doing the inner ramana that changes things. And I realized, having done those practices all week, that I wasn't connecting with my heart. I could understand through my mind what he was saying, but there was not that um, vibrational frequency that I get with so many of the teachers that just changes everything that they're saying from the words and the logic and the reasoning, changes it into heart talk. um, and I wasn't getting that from him. And so I knew to look inward, not outward, like what's wrong with him? But what is it in me that's not connecting? Um, but there were some things that he said that I truly did like. I loved when he said, stop being a victim. These are my words. But stop being a victim. No healing, no counseling. Get over it. Stop processing. I like that. That spoke to me because I'm learning, not learning, I'm experiencing through this other study that none of that matters in the it wants to matter. The mind wants it to matter, but it really doesn't. And I don't need to heal anything. I don't need to heal anything. It's I'm perfect just the way I am right now in this moment with you. And I don't need to keep going back. I remember I used to be a big Al-Anoner. I was in Al-Anon for 20 years. And one of the things that used to frustrate me was hearing the same story over and over again. That these women carried so deeply they couldn't let go. And it was always somebody else's fault. And I didn't want that for myself. And so I looked beyond those teachings and those ways of coping. Um, that resonated with me when he said that. It's like, don't bring the old wounds into the new. That was one of his quotes. You don't need it anymore. You don't need it. It's over. The other thing I really liked, I wrote this down. He said, we are now going in the new. He was describing the new, and he had like 3 or 4 things that we would experience in the new order when all the systems are busted up. He said we would start hearing ourselves through an articulated core. And I had to ponder that for a little bit, but I got that. I got that. An articulated core. It's like when he was talking about self-love, it was about loving all aspects of the self, the human self, the divine self, accepting it, accepting that self. And I I felt that I started to get that on a little bit deeper level because self-love was always just this concept. Yeah, I agree with self-love as a concept, but to feel it, to feel self-love, to go deeply into the true self and experience that love of self, that is truly that's amazing. So I like that. And it's interesting how this whole vibrational field, how um, everything that needs to come is coming, for me, for us. We get to hear these things. And I don't have to analyze it anymore. I don't have to figure out why I get it or I don't get it. It doesn't matter. So anyway, thank you for listening.
Thanks. Couple of things, and then I'll hand it over to John. I won't go into it now, but when you listen to Salvador Poe, pay attention to his story about self-love. I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be not sad. I will be where I'm going to be. And but I it brought tears to my eyes. Um And I also, so next week is Salvador Poe, and then I wanted to say, especially for those that like to pick um, recordings, somehow I set up 3 podcasts for the 3 weeks after that in like less than 5 minutes, which was an extraordinary experience to watch. The week after Salvador Poe is Joe Vitale, which we've never done here. He was a huge part of my life 20 years ago, but YouTube has his documentary on the 0 point, which is Ho'oponopono. So I want to say it's a documentary that I put up there, not just a podcast, and it's on the teaching of Ho'oponopono as it focuses through Joe Vitale and his claim of 0 points. So the week after that, it's Andre Ducombe, however you pronounce his name, being interviewed on Soul Boom. When I saw that was happening, I was like, Andre is always the interviewer. He's the interviewee, and I dropped that in for the week after that. The week after that is Rupert having a conversation on non-duality with Jeff something or other. So anyway, those are the next 4 weeks. All different. I think it's all going to be very interesting. Uh, and now John.
Yeah, thanks, Cindy. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everything you say, and especially when you started up this heaven and hell story on this podcast today. Are we over at 12 o'clock?
Technically, yes.
Yeah. Well, I'll be brief. I just want to say, I am going to say that what triggered me was Sandra's point on self-love, because, for me, Sandra, every time I came in the building today and I recognized that I had a charge on somebody, who was in a hall, and I realized, oh my, I love myself enough to have a charge against somebody else, another creature of God. So for me, Sandra, it's just recognizing that, hey, I'm loving myself when I can become aware and let go of all these wicked stories, and that's really these wicked stories of the brain damage that Dago talks about. Look, think about my brain damage going on with all this kind of stuff going on there. So, and just listening to all the different viewpoints, the different frames is so helpful for me. And I love Livy, listening to Livy, and I can see why her cats just gaze at her, because it's just like there's a hope there. It is hope. There's hope for everything. And there's hope for me too. And so when you were going back to this defining about heaven and earth, and I think that's a big deal, Cindy, simply because, yeah, maybe I am making reducible stuff, but I got to define that for myself. I need some details on this kind of stuff. And it's not just a concept that I got, that I've been carrying around with my brain damage. If I got some questions on this, I need to explore this, yes, and question it. What is all this about? I need to get the details for myself. And so that's where I'm at, So I'm looking forward to Salvador Poe and all these. I like that name. Who's Edgar Allan Poe? I know a poem by that guy, The Telltale Heart. Great American patriot. But anyway, I'm sure that's another podcast for the future. So we'll talk about other things at another time. But just to let you know that I'm with Dago with my gratitude for this meeting today. Oh my goodness! Thanks everybody who showed up for John today, and I wish you joy and happiness and peace and joy.
Thank you.